All right, everyone. You've been listening, you've been waiting, and now the big Rent Ready reveal can finally come to light. Rent Ready just launched rental property accounting for all landlords. Now you can easily connect your rental properties from Rent Ready to an accounting software created specifically for landlords with Rent Ready's newest partner, REI Hub. So essentially with this, you can automatically transfer properties and charges from your Rent Ready profile. You can track your income and expenses with matching rules and payment templates to speed up your bookkeeping. View your profit and loss cash flow statements by property or unit, and get your portfolio's balance sheet, Schedule E's, and more.
It would be so cool to get this all in one place too.
We've been doing this on the side. Imagine having this all in one REI hub.
Love it.
Like that play. So this is something we definitely can use and we will be using. So without further ado, obviously, listeners, we are very excited about this. And there's something a little bit more exciting. More
exciting than that?
Yeah, way more. We can hook up our listeners. So with that, if you're currently not using Rent Ready, you can sign up using our special code JUICEPOD and get 50% off your Rent Ready subscription. Once you set up your properties, you can add rental properties accounting as a premium feature. If you're currently using Rent Ready, go check out the new accounting features designed to save you time and money while you manage your business. So whether you don't have Rent Ready or you do, you have access to this feature. Make sure to use our code JUICEPOD, that's JUICEPOD, to get your access. And that is found on rentready.com, RENTREDI.com. If this is your first time here, welcome. During our shows, we interview successful entrepreneurs and investors to spread knowledge, advice, and actionable tactics to help others in the pursuit of financial freedom. We discuss successes, failures, systems, motivations, experiences, and key lessons learned along the way in the hopes that these stories help you along your journey. Tune in every Wednesday to get your weekly juice. If you've been here before and like what you've been hearing, please subscribe, share with friends, rate, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That goes an extremely long way for us. It's simple. Just click on your podcast app, type in our podcast name, The Weekly Juice, click on the reviews, and let us know what you think. The more ratings we get, the more eyes we'll get on our show, and in turn, we'll be able to provide you all with high-quality guests. You can also find us on Instagram at Weekly Juice Pod for daily content and personal finance tips to assist in your journey towards financial freedom. Welcome back to the Weekly Juice. As always, Ryan and Corey here with another episode for you. Today we had on special guest Austin Whitworth, also known as Create Wealth Austin on social media. We've been following his story for a while now. He is a real estate investor, an entrepreneur, and just a very interesting human being with the things that he's done in his life so far. He really went into his story about traveling the world on basically no cash, moving down to Australia, living out of an RV, and then, working as a bartender just to like enjoy life post college before he couldn't fathom working a 9-to-5 sitting behind a desk.
He moved to Colorado with a buddy for 2 years and then was like, this isn't enough. I'm not getting enough adventure by moving across the country from Charleston, South Carolina. I'm going to move to a whole nother country. Then he moved to Australia. And what he said was he really enjoyed life, but he was not able to make any dent into bank account investments, savings, any of that. And he would be broke at the end of each month. But that mindset, that kind of fearless mindset to go, helped prepare him for what came next. And that's creating wealth, i.e. his Instagram name. So he started to buy some real estate, do some house hacks. He's invested into crypto. He's trying to buy some Airbnb. So he's really literally in that beginning, hump. He got over that phase of getting started and now he's starting to really build. And it's just an exciting story for a lot of people who are starting out and listening to someone's path that maybe it would affect yours.
Absolutely. He provided a lot of actionable tactics and just little nuggets along the way for people that are starting out. And because he just crossed over that hump and invested in both Australia and the United States. Yeah, very cool story. So he went and talked about both different markets and super fun episode today. So without further ado, let's bring in Austin.
Let's do it.
Austin, officially welcome to the Weekly Juice podcast. Corey and I are thrilled to have you here. We've been connected on social for a while now, going back and forth, following each other's journeys, and we're finally excited to interview you and chat in person. It's been a long time coming, man.
Boys, thank you so much for having me. I'm a huge fan of the show, and it's been awesome meeting you guys and interacting. So it's been surreal getting to know you, and this is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. So if you could give a little background on yourself, just so listeners can get to know you a bit, who you are, where you're from, and then how you got into the financial independence and real estate investing movement.
Yeah, of course. So for those of you that don't know me, which is everyone, my name is Austin. And, I had a pretty normal upbringing. I had good grades in school. I had a great set of friends, great family. I went to college. I even got a master's degree. So I really did feel like I've got this figured out. I'm happy. And I graduated from school, I moved home and I got hit with this wave that everybody gets hit with. It was fear and anxiety and doubt. And I was looking at jobs at home, and I'll just cut to the chase. I bailed on everything. I remember my mom asking me like, how's the job search going? And I just said, I don't want to do this anymore. The jobs stink, the pay sucks, like the lifestyle sounds awful. Like I just don't want to do it. So, it was a dark time in my life, and a lot of people go through this, but I got hit with it. So what am I going to do? Right. And my best friend from home hits me up and says, hey man, I'm moving out to Colorado. I'm about to go work at a ski resort. You should come with me for a road trip. And it just blew my mind. I'm from a pretty small town. Like we never left our hometown. I was like, bet, let's do it. So I went out there with him, and what was supposed to be a 5-day trip turned into 2 years that I lived in Colorado.
Let's go.
Okay.
And awesome. I moved out there, and 3 days later I took a job. So it was crazy, but it was the best thing I ever did. Right. I'm meeting people from all over the world. I'm snowboarding for free. I'm living this insane lifestyle, and I'm hooked. So I was there for 2 years. And I remember thinking, I want to level up. Like I want to go to a different country. I want to live somewhere I can't even imagine being. And I found that Australia does a work and travel visa. So you can go over there and adventure and hang out. You can work and earn some money, live there. So I was bartending out of school, and I thought, oh, that's amazing. Like I can bartend in Australia. I can be tan and surf. Like this is unreal. And so I went over there. In 2019, and it was terrifying. And I went by myself, and it was just crazy. But again, it's the best thing I ever did in my life. I was living on the Great Barrier Reef. I was seeing all these beautiful places and all these beautiful people. And it was the first time in my life that I felt this is what I want to do the rest of my life. Like I want to travel. I want to adventure. Like I'm growing so much as a person every moment that I'm doing this. This is it. And it all sounds perfect, but there was one thing that was constant this whole time, and I was completely broke. Like I didn't notice it at the time because I had transcended into this new life, right? I was happy, I was excited, I was adventuring, but I was working a lot. I mean, nothing crazy, but I had 2 bar jobs at once. Most of my days off I worked, and it was starting to wear on me. I mean, I was 25, and I was like, man, I'm back to zero every month. I have no savings. So I'm in Australia for a few months, and I have like $2,000 in my account. I have 30K in debt. And I go to this new resort, and I noticed the first paycheck, like, whoa, I have a ton of savings. I was like, my lifestyle hasn't changed. Like I'm working the same, but I realized the rent was so cheap. Now keep in mind, this was staff housing. So I was sharing a room with a random dude, and I was eating white bread a lot, but it was like, whoa, I have a few $100s every week. So I remember this was October 2019. I sat down and said, between now and my birthday, which is December, it's like 2 months, I'm going to save every dollar from my job, and I'm going to invest it somehow. I had no idea what I was going to do. My parents, neither of them even have index funds or anything. So I was like, man, I got to figure it out. People do it. So I found stocks first. And I was like, I'm not smart enough to pick stocks. It's like my limiting belief. I had no idea about index funds. Then I was like, ooh, business. People start business. Like, that's cool. But again, like, I don't have an idea. I don't have a Shark Tank business idea. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't have any money. Then I found real estate. I was like, okay, sleek, cool. Like it makes sense, but same, uneducated. I was like, I don't have 20%. I don't have any money. Like this sucks. So I did what most people do. And I said, screw this. Never mind. I'm going back to what I was doing. I'm going to be the old, crusty, salty guy on the resort. Yeah. I was like, this sucks. Like, what do I do? So I don't remember when or how, but I found house hacking, and the rainbow just went off. Right. And it changed everything. It changed the way I viewed money and living and wealth. And it changed my whole life. And I met this girl over there around the same time who's now my fiance. So I have a blonde blue-eyed, tan, Australian fiance. So that's a win, boys. We can
That's a win.
That's a huge
end the
win.
interview
Yeah.
now if you want.
Yeah.
But we were just friends at the time. And, I didn't have any of my friends or family over there. I'm on the other side of the world. It's like 14-hour time difference. So I'm just spouting off these ideas to her every day. And we work together, and you can imagine her response, this random American guy saying, I'm going to be financially free in 3 years, and I'm never going to work again, and I'm never going to have to pay rent again. And she's like, what is this crackpot talking about? Like, what are you, but before too long, she was hooked. And she said the same thing that I said when I found out. She's like, this is unbelievable. I've never heard of any of this. Like, this is crazy. So I'm sorry for the long intro.
No, I think it was great. It was detailed. And I want to actually dive in here just a little bit on the mindset. Like, for people that are listening, it takes a lot of guts to pick up and move one across the country, but then also to a completely different country by yourself. And that same mindset can be applied. It's a similar leap of faith when you're going to buy a real estate investment or going to buy stocks or going to commit to a lifestyle of financial independence. So you were kind of already like had the mindset to do something different and change your life. Can you just talk about how that mindset kind of applied to your next step, like buying a house hack and like shifting your whole mentality of how you view money?
Of course. Yeah. So same principle, like you said, moving to a new place, changing a job, investing. It just got to the point where I didn't know what the other side of the fence looked like, but I knew that it was worth giving a shot. Like, it was worth changing up the monotony of what I was going through. I'd graduated, I gave up on school, like marketing major. I was bartending, and I was just like, this is cool. Like, this is fun to a degree, but I know that I'm meant for more than this. I had that hustler mentality going through school, but it just kind of faded away when you stop pursuing things. So, like, the sparks came up when I moved to a new place. I felt more confident. And then the sparks came up when I found that book, the house hacking book. And it was just like, okay, the rust is shaking off of me a little bit. I still feel young. I'm ready to go. And then, I met my fiance, and we kind of collaborated together and said, wow, we can do this. We can save together. It won't be as expensive. And that's what we did. We just started saving and hustling and still having fun. And then when it came time to pull the trigger on a house, like, we just knew, like, we got to do it. But there's no debate. We were supporting each other through it, and we just made the move. And, since then, it's just a compounding effect, just like anything else. The more I do things, the more confident I feel, and the more ambitious I feel.
So how much did that house hack? I know Rye has a question too. How much did that house hack allow you to save monthly? Like, just frame it for people, put it in perspective, like what that was able to do. Cause it sounds like you were really excited about maybe a couple $100 a week. And then I think that shifted when you were able to buy the house hack. What did that free, what type of money did that free up?
Of course. Yeah. So, I mean, even before Australia and Colorado, the ski resort's really expensive. Like, I was paying almost $1,000 a month sharing a house with 5 other people. So the concept of saving money was just never a thing for any of us. And in Australia, same thing. It's just really expensive. It was like almost $1,000 a month for rent. And then when you're talking about a mortgage, I mean, it was almost $2,000 a month. So just being able to save that and see it in my account, it motivated me to cut out other expenses, stop whatever, buying the new video games, buying clothes, all the gadgets. It really made me think, wow, this is the first time I'm seeing a comma in my bank account. I can't waste this. Like, I can't let this go to waste. So that house hack, just first month, I mean, the second month, we had it fully rented out while living there. And we made the payment with the rent we got in. And it was just eye-opening. Like, we can calculate, this is how much we can save every month now. We can put this percentage into this asset, this business, this pursuit. And it just, it changes your whole position. It puts you in a position of strength that you might not ever be in if you're, working a labor job or paying a high level of rent. You don't have that opportunity to say, I can save thousands of dollars in a couple of months and then immediately deploy it to multiply and make more money. So it's just, it changes everything.
Absolutely. And I think that's why they call it a hack, right? You're literally like cutting through a lot of time, effort, energy that other people have to deal with to get to that level of financial, independence at one point. My question for you too is like, we got to the point where you found the book, right? And then you had the house hack. Can we talk about the, $30,000 in debt, and then also like how you and your fiance worked together to actually go out and buy the house hack together? I think people get a little bit, they're like, okay, I have this idea, I'm excited, I'm ready to go. But like, what are the actual steps you took, and kind of walk us through that mini journey?
Yeah, of course. So, with the student loan debt, it was something that I guess I just kind of ignored the first few years and just chalked it up to, I'll handle that when I'm an adult. It was like $30,000, and I was making minimum payments for a couple of years, like $90 a month. So I wasn't really doing anything. And I remember being nervous, like, should I pay off this debt first or should we invest? And it was like the Dave Ramsey approach of like, you need to eliminate that debt immediately. And then there's the other, like, financial freedom. I think even Brandon Turner said something like, you can do both, like you can tackle both. And I think it was just a combination of influences like that that made me think, you know what, it's worth saving that debt, pay off for later, and investing this money that's taken me so long to save. It took me, 2.5 years to save up a reserve that I felt comfortable with us investing and us putting into places. And just the idea of like, dude, I can't bartend for 3 more years to pay off this debt first and then invest. We're talking about doing the house hack, and a lot of the concepts are for the US. All of the books and the mentors are in the States. So the loans are different. The mentality is just different. My fiance had never heard of any investing or anything. So we were a bit nervous. We went and talked to some banks, and like we found out they have 5% owner occupied loans, which is similar to here. But one big difference is they do not offer long-term fixed rate debt. So most of their loans are really short-term ARMs. So our loan we got was a 2-year fixed rate. So At some point in 1.5 years from now, it will adjust. So we're going to have to pivot from there. But the process of going out to find these houses, I just applied what I learned, from the books and concepts over here and just went over there. We started calling agents, calling realtors. They even have investor-friendly advisors, like investor-friendly agents that you can pay, and they will like do the off-market stuff and teach you about their wholesale connections and kind of baby step you through it a bit. So we pursued that a little bit, but we ended up just getting a traditional realtor in her area. And, it went pretty well. We pre-qualified with her income. She had pretty consistent like work income for 4 or 5 years. So the qualification was easy. They did not use my income for any of it because I wasn't an Australian citizen. So I didn't have the tax returns or the documents that I needed. So it was basically it's technically her house hack. Like, we're not married yet. Right. So, it was a pretty smooth process in the beginning. And we just kind of helped each other through it, and, it worked out.
Got it. Cool. So once you were hooked and you did it over in Australia, I know you came back to the States and you purchased another house hack, and you're like, I got to continue this momentum. I got to keep my rent or mortgage payment or whatever allocation towards housing extremely low. So can you walk us through the details and the numbers of your house hack that you have here? Maybe just as much detail and explanation in terms of, the purchase price and what you're saving. And then we'll go into like how you're kind of allocating that savings into investments.
Yeah, of course. I'd love to. So yeah, like you just said, I realized, wow, we can get 2 house hacks within like 6 months if we do this. So I came home and, I don't have a job. So my first objective was to lock down a job. And it took me, a few weeks. I got a really nice job at like a resort here in Charleston, and immediately went to the banks because I felt pretty comfortable at this point. And I've just been waiting for 2 years, right, to do this in the States, and called some local banks and told them my situation. And there was a bit of a roadblock in the beginning because of my Australian income. But they ended up getting it worked out. So I did a 5% down conventional loan, and I started looking at some properties with an investor-friendly agent that I found on Bigger Pockets. And my strategy that I wanted to do was similar to Craig's. I wanted a single family house. I wanted as many bedrooms as possible so we could live in one, rent out the other ones. And the cash flow was top priority, number one priority. So where I live in Charleston is pretty expensive on the coast. So I'm about 30 minutes from downtown inland. So we were looking at homes. I submitted offers on 6 homes over the course of 3.5 weeks. and we were going over asking 10% to 15% on each one. $10,000 earnest money, just whatever my realtor recommended, I was down for. And I ended up getting an offer accepted on a house. So the asking price was 205,000. And I ended up getting my offer accepted at 220,500. So it was about 10% above asking, 5% down. I did an inspection contingency because people were suggesting not to, but I was just too terrified to not do that.
Good move.
So, with my down payment, closing costs, all that stuff, it was around 18,000 that I paid.
Got it.
And I had around 50,000 saved. So that I was comfortable doing that. The numbers on it, with the 5% down, the mortgage was a little over 1,400 a month. I have the numbers here. It was around 14,400. And in the area that I'm in, you can charge pretty high rents for a room. An average room with utilities, with a nice space, you can get anywhere between 600 and 750 for a room.
Did you say, Austin, don't mean to cut you off. You said your mortgage was around 1,400 a month. Is that what you said?
Yes. Okay, so the mortgage with PITI was 1,437.
Got it.
So, which was, wasn't terrible. And that made me feel better. Like, okay, even if I can't get this rented out in the beginning, I'm comfortable covering that for at least a month. So, I was looking at rooms. I was like, yeah, I can charge around 700. I'm pretty confident with that. And I listened to a guy named Todd Baldwin. He's been on Bigger Pockets, and he's like crazy rent by the room guy. And he was talking about offering a cleaning service and offering like amenities like toilet paper and stuff to charge a bit more rent. So I just split the price in the middle. I said, I'm going to try to get 650 to 700 for each room. So 4-bedroom house, I'm going to live in one, rent out the other 3. And I charged 700. And I offered the utilities included and a maid service or a cleaning service once a month. So I moved in, I got everything sorted out. I got the rooms filled pretty quickly. It took maybe like 5 weeks until I got every room filled. So with those roommates and myself, because my fiance is still overseas, I'm paying around $100 to live there. So I'm getting $2,100 gross in rents, $1,400 mortgage. I'm paying the utilities as well, which equal out to be like $350, $340 I have on here. And I'm putting aside $400 for reserves. So property maintenance, repairs, vacancies, property management in the future, I'm setting aside. So, I'm spending about $100, and that's mostly just like the utilities I'm paying over.
That's awesome. So you just went from, if you were to live in a property similar to the one that you own, but you were renting, you'd be paying $700 a month. Let's say that you were trying to live in a property that was a little bit nicer. Would it be reasonable to say that $1,000 or $1,100, $1,200 a month, that's a reasonable rent in your area? Would
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is that if you take that number, and I just wanted to share this with people, he's paying $100 a month, people. So to live in a property that's building equity for him, right? I mean, we've talked about house hacking a lot, but let's just say you started out with nothing and that you took that money, that $1,000 a month, and you just invested it into an index fund or in the stock market. And you did that for 15 years. First of all, the money would increase because when you move out, you're going to be getting cash flow. Like the $1,000 would go up. But let's just say you kept it at $1,000 for 15 years. At a 9% return, you're going to have $400,000 in 15 years, and only $180,000 of that is actually your money. $200,000 plus is compounded interest. So the power of getting started and doing this, and that's just 15 years, and that's a 9% return, that's pretty standard, pretty average. But like to be able to take that money, let's say you just want a house hack, you don't even really want to buy more real estate, you just invest it. The compounding interest over time is it's amazing. And you can use the savings from the house hack to get started in that. So I just wanted to bring that up as just a random scenario, but that's awesome. And it's probably setting you up for what's next, which is my next question. Like, what did you decide to start investing in once you had that influx of cash?
Right. Yeah. So the whole thing with cash flow, top priority, rent by the room, now I'm looking for every opportunity to build that cash flow up. Right. Because I want that adventure that I talked about. I want me and my wife to travel the world and have location freedom and not be locked into a certain place. So I immediately, I'm looking for what's the high cash flow play, what's the, best use of this money for a beginner, which I still consider myself. And I found Airbnbs like immediately. I was just looking at every resource I could, Bigger Pockets. There's a Young Retiree by 33 on Instagram. I mean, just the numbers that they're sharing are insane. And it just sounds like unsustainable to a degree, but also like, wow, this is a huge potential that might not be around forever. Like who knows how.
It's pretty sustainable for him right now.
It's unreal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just started looking at those opportunities and found you can do a 10% down vacation loan. I was like, this works out. I don't have a ton of capital to play with. I can't just go buy an apartment yet. I'm not comfortable with that at the moment. So Airbnbs, looking for ways to increase the net income coming in every month. So that was the first idea. So we're pursuing that. And then, like you said, okay, I need to diversify a little bit. I can't just go from this one pivot. I need to be able to do multiple things. So I was looking at stocks and the slow returns, the long-term investing, which I love. But I stumbled into crypto like kind of the same way I did real estate, just always on social media, online, like looking at resources. And I just see these crazy returns and the potential of what's happening with crypto right now. So I've set a thing aside where I'm saving a certain percentage for these Airbnbs every week, and I'm saving a certain percentage for crypto. I'm trying to get into stocks more as I'm maturing. But at the moment, most of my money is either going into getting another Airbnb or buying crypto or putting money into my business that I've started. Cool.
Are you buying the dip right now? Because as we're recording this, I think my entire portfolio is down 15%. I don't have a big crypto portfolio. Actually, Rye has a little bit of a bigger one, but we're in the red, people. We are in the
lot
red.
of red.
It's one of those like dips a lot of people are talking about buying. So
wow, I didn't even notice. Yeah, Bitcoin's at 48.
48, and it was at 40. It was at 44 earlier.
Wow. That's 67 almost. 65?
I think it was 61 was the highest. I don't know. Maybe
it was 69 at one point.
Damn. All right.
Yeah, so it's been a big drop.
That's the volatility of this type of market. Right. I'm dipping my toes, and you talked about this, right? You're dipping your toes, and like you understand it. I'm actually going to start to put a small percent, very, very small monthly of like leftover money that I'm just going to keep investing monthly, just because I don't really understand it. And we talked about 1 to 5% of the portfolio to kind of be in that. Yeah. Definitely going to keep investing, but yeah, damn, we are in the red.
Yeah. I mean, this is the perfect time to buy. I think it's just going to keep going up and down, up and down. But until, I know we mentioned this in another episode, but like, I think the metaverse is going to have a huge impact on crypto, and like crypto is going to play into that and like decentralized like the way of spending money essentially. It's almost gonna be like a real life video game, which is insane. And there's like so many different layers you can go there. He and I have talked about this many times, but for some reason, I keep seeing all these NFTs and like people are using Ethereum to buy them all. And I'm like, okay, well, this is clearly one to stay in my opinion for now. So like you got Bitcoin, Ethereum, and I keep hearing Solana's another one that's like faster than, and Cardano. So I have some of that too. So I don't know. It's interesting to watch this thing go up and down, but it's nowhere. I don't feel safe opening my app ever. It's not like one of those things where I'm like super comfortable with it. So to your point, Austin, too, we're invested in index funds, ETFs, and just like trying to, take advantage of all the tax advantage accounts from your like 401k all the way to the Roth IRA, right? You kind of have like your pillars that you want to take care of. But the biggest thing that's going to take care of you if you do it the right way is real estate. And you're doing it absolutely right with house hacking. That's how we recommend everyone get started, right? It takes a leap of faith and kind of goes back to your mentality that we talked about earlier in the episode. I think I just want to touch on this too. Like, it's really cool that you've done with let's just talk about it, like not that much cash. You were able to travel the world and do things that people don't think is attainable. So I think that's another thing to talk about. It's like, we don't always have to talk about, oh, you're not investing, you're not, you're not saving, you're not doing all this. Like, you can still do things in the world and experience them having not known any of this. Like you had no prior knowledge of this, and you were out there, you weren't saving a ton, but you were experiencing the world and having fun and living your life, which now that you have the knowledge, you can do that for the rest of your life. Right. And just having a plan and mapping it out. So super impressive and motivating, I think, for young people out there.
Totally. Yeah. And like what you did in the beginning has now shown you the light of what you want to do when you
Mhm.
have enough money passively or coming in through investments to actually do that and then sustain it and then look at your bank account at the end of the month and be like, oh, I actually still made money, right? So I think it's awesome. Did you want to jump into something specific?
Yeah. I just want to say we get a lot of DMs and comments on our page, and they ask, like, some of them you kind of get shocked. You're like, it's people that are either like realtors or they have decent jobs, high jobs. And they're like, hey, how do I have some money, but what do I do with it? I'm like, wow, like, how do you not know about real estate investing? How do you even like like basic index funds or something that's like pretty safe along the way, even though it'll take a long time to create wealth. But I'm like, it just blows my mind. So I think that there's a niche there for certain people to provide value and resources. And I know that you offer that on your Instagram page, and it's kind of taking what you've learned over time, right? And you help coach people now. So can you just dive into that a little bit and like what you offer, and then kind of why you do it? Why are you putting your message? That's how we found you, right? Like, why are you putting your message out there for other people?
Yeah, of course. It was something that, again, I didn't really plan to do. I didn't see it as, oh, this is my next thing. I was just really intrigued by every page that I found on Instagram. And I got so much knowledge and information from Instagram. Like, I could list 50 people that we all interact with still that share their journey and their mistakes and their tips and tricks. And it just like really, really helped me. So I wanted to get involved. And, my friends were asking me about, what do you got going on? How does this work? And I just really enjoyed sharing, what I was going through. And to me, it felt like it took me so long to figure out what to do and like what direction to go in and which path to take. And it wasn't necessarily frustrating, but it was exhausting mentally, like being up all night and researching, and you don't even know if you're going down the right rabbit hole. And, it was just a lot of time spent that a lot of us spend figuring out where to go. So to me, I wanted to expedite that for other people. I wanted to use it as a platform for me to connect with people like yourselves and grow my business. And I just wanted to make it an easier process for people like me who were still enjoying life, but wanted more out of it and like didn't want to give up on their potential. So I do offer coaching, and I have course guides, and I mainly use Instagram as my platform for education. So online education, digital products, holding their hand through one-on-one sessions, and really just what I just did with you guys, telling them what I did and not making it this mystical smoke and mirror roadmap. I'm not a multimillionaire. I'm not financially free entirely, but I've gone from, a 25, 26-year-old party boy with no direction to a 28, 29-year-old who has his own company and, feels like a bona fide entrepreneur. Every day that I wake up, that's the moves that I'm making. And I want that to be attainable for other people. There's so many genuine people out there that aren't trying to hate on you and aren't criticizing. They're asking you for advice. They don't know you, and there's like, hey, like, what do you recommend for this? Or thank you so much. That post was like spot on. I needed that. And I think all of us feel like it's not addicting, but it's just so uplifting. Like, it just feels so good to make that a reality for other people. And yeah, it is addicting. And it's just, I can't stop now. I've so many people that are reaching out to me that, I think that a lot of people are scared to get into this type of space, to do a podcast, to start their own brand. But I had to realize too, there's no one out there that's like me. I'm completely unique, and my situation is unique. And there are so many people in the world. Like, there's bound to be thousands of people that connect with you and no one else in the same way. And getting those messages like, you're my favorite creator. And I'm like, what? Like, are you serious? Like, I'm posting tweets and stuff. Like, what do you mean I'm your favorite creator? But it's just really surreal.
Yeah. I guess goes back to the imposter syndrome. You're like, I don't really have that much to offer. And you're like, I don't know. We did like a walkthrough. My wife and I were talking the other day, and we did a walkthrough of like where I was last year at this time. And we just like went through a lot of stuff. We talked about, like, I can just rattle off a couple, but like Corey and I bought 2 properties together. We have we're working on 2 other e-commerce stores, essentially, that we built a business that generates income and just all this stuff. And I'm like, wow, that was in 365 days. And then I think, like, what did I do before then? And it's just, my point here is like, I think a lot of us, and Corey and I talked about this yesterday, actually, and we're like, you get wrapped up in the little things, like every day. Like you're sometimes like we wake up, you think about like, okay, what post do I have going out today? Is it going to touch X amount of people? Like, well, you think the followers will grow up? Are we going to grow our business? And like, you get sometimes trapped of like, should I work in the business? Should I work on the business? And then your time flies, right? And then you have your day job, right? And then the year's up and you're like, oh, and you invested in some things, you did some things, but like a lot of times people don't celebrate the wins or just reminisce and like go through the timeline. Like there was so many things we did last year. Like we renovated an entire property and like, I'm like, dude, we never did that before. Like we just figured it out. And it just blows your mind. And I think it's important to talk about these things. And it's super empowering to talk to you about these things because you are cut from the same cloth. We're wearing similar shoes, right? Like you have your own business now and you, like you said, party boy to entrepreneur, run your own business. Like it just happens. Like no one's coming to save you. Right. And I think that's the message is like, there's so many people that have ideas and they want to do something, but they just never do it. So our hopes are that people hear stories like ours, and that they're like, you know what, I can do this thing. Like it's hard, but I'm willing to like, if these guys can do it, I think I can pull it off too.
I have a great, or I have a note. I don't know if it's going to be great. Maybe people can decide if it's going to be great, but I have a note off of what you're saying. I think there are so many people. I was talking to my brother the other day, who's 19, a sophomore in college and trying to figure out what he wants to do next. And he's starting to get the bug about, he's read Rich Dad Poor Dad and I Will Teach You to Be Rich and a couple other books. He's like, oh my God, like he's feeling this pressure of like, I'm going to graduate. And this is what you did. I think I want people to relieve some pressure off of themselves because of this conversation. Austin, who's now building sustainable businesses, keeping his expenses low, investing, and then growing for the future. But what did he do for the first 4 years out of school? He just traveled. Like you didn't do any of that. So obviously you want to invest as early as you can, right? But relieve a little bit of this pressure off you. Like, and Gary Vee says this stuff all the time. When you're 22, you could just shut everything off and do nothing for 4 years and wake up and be 26 and still be super young. So like, don't feel like you have to do all of it right now. And we have to tell ourselves this daily. We're 30, 31, happy belated, right? But it's just like, you don't have to do everything at once. And I think that you're living proof that you can figure out. If you would never went on those trips, you would never figured out that you even wanted to go down this path. So it's powerful.
I think a lot of people hear this too, and they're like, that's great. But he was young. He was able to do it right out of school. He didn't have a family. He didn't have people around him that he has to like take care of. That's where I think house hacking comes in. Like this whole thing, it doesn't come without work in finding what works for you specifically. Right? There's sacrifice, right? Like you have to be willing to say, I'm going to take my wife and my young kid and we're going to buy a property and live in one unit. We're not going to have the whole thing and be comfortable. Someone else is going to be living in the other side, but they're going to help build equity. They're going to help pay down our loan, pay our rent. And, we can sit that incrementally allows us to save more over time. And then eventually you get up to your bigger house or travel or do what you want to do. Like you don't have to have the nice car, the nice house, and be able to travel and the big family. Like the quote unquote American dream, like white picket fence. Everyone's American dream is different, man. And like, we're starting to realize like getting up every day, like when, I don't know, like things happen, right? And you're like, damn, like I really just like waking up and running my business, making a couple posts and like having fun. Like it's stressful looking at your bank account sometimes. It's sweet to see it grow. When it goes down, you're like, damn, that sucks. I just like 2 steps forward or 1 step forward, take 2 steps back or whatever it is. But my whole point here is everyone's going through some BS, right? And like, not even BS, but everyone has their own problems, their own life and like their own situation. And there are ways to make it better and to make it what you want in your version of success. You just really have to customize it. And you can take stories like this and ones we talk about and educating yourself is very key. And that's what I want to bring is like, it's not, you can't just sit there and like let time go and keep doing the same thing over and over. You have to change what you're doing if you want to change your outcome.
Totally. Right. And I want to get into one other thing with you, Austin, but I just want to mention that like I don't know that this is a prerequisite to a great life, but like being the architect of your own life, like take that ownership. Like it is, you won't get anywhere if you just do what you're looking around and you'll return to the mean. You'll look at what everyone else is doing. And then you're going to turn around and be 55 and be stuck in a job that you potentially don't like. So you have to be an architect of your own life and following pages like yours and hopefully following pages like us and creating a community online and an education platform and a system for figuring out how you learn is the first step. So with that being said, the world is changing, Austin. crypto, we just touched on it. Like I really want to get your take on, I know crypto, you're even doing it before stocks, which I don't know if we talked to anybody who's like doing it that way. I want to get your take on just the whole thing, because it's something that we probably didn't talk about on the episode a year ago, but now it's just being entered in because it's real. And it's good to hear from people who probably know more than us about it. I want to just know what you're investing in and what your take is on it, because things are changing, and then we'll wind down the show, but I kind of want to hear your thoughts.
Of course. Yeah. So, same with everyone. I was in college when crypto or Bitcoin was like talked about, and it just seemed really sketchy. And it was, the way they did transactions on the black market was what we kept hearing. So I was never involved. And, even last year, 2020, I think things were just so crazy, and I was moving and all this stuff, I missed all of the craziness of 2020 crypto, the 10,000x things that were happening. But again, like we said, I was saving money from my house hacks. I was looking for other opportunities. And like you guys have, I just started reading all of this stuff about crypto, NFTs, all of these projects. And I became obsessed again, like I was with house hacking. And to me, I'm on the boat of, I think that this is the second coming of the internet, in the sense of back when the .com boom happened, so many people got rich from it. So many people created multi-billion-dollar businesses from this new thing that's happening. And I mean, even Bitcoin, I've read and seen on interviews, like Bitcoin is the fastest adopted thing in human history. There's never been something that's been adopted to this scale so quickly. Governments and businesses using it for transactions. So for me, I wanted to get involved. I didn't know what to get into. For me, I just stick to the coins that I believe in. And by that, I mean, like, I believe in the technology behind them, what the company itself is doing, not what animal is on the coin and what Elon Musk is tweeting about. I'll admit I wanted to get involved with that, but it's not worth that type of risk. It's the same as a penny stock to me. It'll go up and it'll go down. But for me, I truly believe we are in the very beginning of this crypto, wave that's coming. And I really believe that crypto is going to change, not necessarily all of our lives like the metaverse will, but crypto as a whole is going to change how businesses interact, how we consume products and services from companies, how businesses like do transactions with each other. I mean, there are so many coins out there that their technology is going to create foreign currency exchanges in 5 minutes with no fees. And, that was my first introduction to this is legit, because being in Australia, I would convert my currency from my Australian dollar to the US dollar. It was like an 8% fee, and it would take 7 days. So to pay my bills for things in the States, with student loans and stuff, I had to wait a week or 10 days sometimes. So there's so many technologies coming out that are here, and they're real. And there are some sketchy sects of cryptocurrency, like people trying to scam you. And if you don't send your funds to the right address, it's gone forever, those types of things. But I do believe it will be adopted by the masses, in 10 years from now. So that's my mentality, similar to stocks. Do I think this transaction company, this AI company, this whatever is going to be around in 10 years? And the answer is almost always yes. So I've been putting more and more amounts of my money into it with a long-term play. Doing other things like staking. You can stake your crypto and earn interest on it. So there's all these different methods that, maybe these opportunities won't be around in 10 years to make this type of return. So I'm just trying to be involved.
Is your view to invest monthly? Is that kind of what you're doing? Like,
yeah. So I invest around 15% of my monthly paycheck at the moment. Okay. And then all of my savings from, rent and the cash flow from our first house, that never leaves the real estate bubble of my savings, right? Reserves, having that aside, planning for the next purchase. And then I have my business pool of money in a separate bank account that only stays there. And then now I have my job that I'm working part-time, saving, paying my food bills and whatever, and then putting 15% of that into crypto.
Got it. Very cool. Hey, let me just caveat this by saying I don't know shit about Bitcoin. So I just want everyone to know that this is not necessarily like advice. I know a little bit. I shouldn't say nothing, but I wouldn't look at this as like as something to be afraid of. I think that's how I originally looked at it, is like, this is something that's scary and to be afraid of. And because change can be scary. So I wouldn't look at it like that, because it's not, I don't think it's going to replace the dollar, right? As long as Bitcoin has a value that's transferable to the dollar, I don't think it's something that will replace it. So just educate yourselves. That's the most important thing. You can't change the market. You don't have the power to change the market. Not one single one of us is going to say, well, I'm not going to jump on because I don't believe in it. It's bigger than you, right? So just educate yourself, because it's happening. And same thing with the metaverse, where I was like literally terrified of. And then I'm like, just do it as you kind of see fit in your own life, right? You don't have to dive all in. It's just, but something's happening, something's changing. Are you going to be on the good side of it, or are you going to be on the bad side of it? And that's kind of the way I look at these things.
Yeah, I think it's taking off your pessimistic hat and putting on your optimistic hat.
Totally,
That's really all it is. It's like, you've seen this in Austin. I think you're a perfect example talking about the dot-com boom and the internet, right? And like people that were like, nah, this isn't going to happen. Like they, internally fought it by themselves. And they're just like, I'm just not doing anything. Like, screw the system. And then who lost out? You know what I mean? Like it's now not 15% is a good number, right? And then also like,
it's a lot.
I'm thinking, yeah,
in a good way, right? Like you're.
He's like, that's more than 10%, but it's not the whole pie chart. Right. Like that's just like, okay, like you will make a return, right? Like if it goes up, you'll at least be on the winning side of the coin. No pun intended there.
That was good.
I just think it's important to talk about. And like that we have people that, I posted something, or we posted something the other day on the metaverse, and a lot of people were asking questions about it, just hadn't had any idea about it. And then this one lady just like put like laughing emojis like all the way across it. I'm like, it's fine. Like I get it, but like some people are gonna be laughing their way to the bank. Some people are gonna be just sitting there trolling people online.
Yep.
So, and it may not happen to the fullest extent, but it's just like if you just sit back and watch what the business and the world is doing, it's going in that direction. Like there's we were talking about buying an e-commerce store. We're not going to get too in depth on it because we're going to share it in another episode down the line, but there were different package options, right? And there was like a discount per the way you paid. Wire transfer, you got a discount, which was like kind of like the equivalent of cash. Like if you used a credit card, it was like not a percentage, it was like a higher percentage. And then it had Bitcoin and Ethereum, and it was heavily discounted because they wanted to, I don't know. They just see the return could potentially skyrocket. So it was just a crazy thing. I actually don't know if you could pay with credit card, but I know there was a wire transfer in the Bitcoin and Ethereum one, and that blew my mind. I'm like, wow, this is on official business documents now that you can pay to accept coins. And it was just kind of wild to see that. And just
it seems fake almost, doesn't it? It's just like, what is going on? Yeah. Even like, I'll say one last thing on crypto and then we can move on, but it's even like, the Staples Center being named crypto.com center now. And it's like a 20-year deal, and crypto.com has a credit card now. And, I think crypto for me is like similar to other investments. Like, I don't want to ever seem like you're dumb if you don't do this. That's not the position I want to come from. I think it can be seen in every way. Just like you said, Ryan, like you can either be scared of it and hate it, or you can be excited about it, like the games that are coming out and like the new amenities it's going to give people. Or you can look at it as an investor and say, how can I leverage this for my own situation? I don't want to be a crypto billionaire necessarily, but I'm just using it to leverage my ultimate goal, which is to buy more real estate and to be free. So
totally
awesome.
I love that's part of your portfolio. It's really cool. And it's not, I just want to make a caveat, last caveat here. It's like when we say get excited about it and the optimism hat versus pessimism, it's not go spend all your money and drop it into crypto because we're talking about it.
Don't come at us. On
it is a cool piece of the pie to have a little bit of stake in. And then if you study it and you become an expert, great, then do your thing. But I know I just got you off. Go ahead.
No, that was it. I think let's move to the core four. Right. So we're going to get to know you a little bit more in depth, Austin. So the first question of the core four is, what is your favorite investing, business, or real estate book that's kind of maybe shaped your transition to becoming the investor that you are?
Of course. Yeah. So, I'll admit most of my information that I was taking in the beginning was on the internet, like YouTube, blogs, resources on social media.
Share a channel then, or share. Yeah. Right. What's your resource?
Bigger Pockets was the first one, of course, and it just branched off from there. It's crazy. I mean, I was listening to you guys in Australia with my Sheila, and she was calling me crazy. Right. And I was like, I'm serious. Listen to these guys. Like, you guys had Tyler from Defining Wealth on there. Yeah. Like, I remember specifically his podcast, and my girl was like, let's do this. Like he's a
Wait, hold on a
27-year-old
second.
millionaire.
Let's back up here. That's amazing that you were listening to us and that helped shape. I mean, like it's so humbling. So that's great. Awesome.
Down under, man. I was talking about the Juice Boys.
That's really sick, dude.
I can't believe
awesome.
it.
I actually didn't realize how long ago the episode was too.
Episode 60 something. So yeah, you're talking about 20 something weeks. It's almost half the year. So yeah, so it was like
amazing.
6 months ago.
Earlier this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, so I wanted to get into more books and educate myself more, like become more rounded. And the first book that I read that was really transcending was Set for Life by Scott Trench.
It's one of our
And
favorites.
I think it just, and I've heard you talk about it too, Ryan. I completely agree with everything you've said. It just sets a foundation, right? Like it gives you stability, and structure. So no matter what you do moving forward, you're safe, you're protected, you're prepared. So I love that because again, I have to hone myself back in. I'm really ambitious and I want to try things and, mentally go all in on things. But it's important to have a foundation of let's take this step by step. Let's set ourselves up because it's not an all-in play. It's a lifetime play. It's a family generation play. So I loved that book. More like application-based books was The House Hacking Strategy, the Burr book by David Green.
Yep.
Tangible things. I love the how-tos. I love the step-by-step processes books. But there's a ton of books I still need to read. Richest Man in Babylon I have sitting. I need to start. 4-Hour Work Week sounds incredible. So I admittedly need to read more.
Yeah, those are great books.
Those are great books. I really do love the how-tos as well. Like they have a little bit of story, like an underlying tone, but then it literally tells you how to do it. And if you, I'm more like a visual and type A, okay, show me how to do it. I can go and I can copy that and redo it. Hopefully just my twist on it. But I think to a couple of your points here, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I know you probably didn't mention, but everyone mentions that. Richest Man in Babylon, Alchemist, those are more like parables. You can listen to them on Audible. It's not like you have to go sit on your couch, find time to sit down and read and flip through the pages, take notes. Those are ones that you can literally just walk around or you be in the car and listen. And then you grasp it. You can take away the message of the story, which I really like those ones too. But on the other ones that you mentioned, all the Bigger Pockets ones, those are the ones I really like. Those I purchased the books because I take my highlighter and just friggin' light them up. And then I carry him out in my car, whenever we're going through stuff. And he's like, dude, what are you doing? Why do you have your books with you? I'm
He has it taped to his back right now.
It's classic. So, but they are so valuable. And
I love it.
I like having the tangible ones because then, you don't have to scrub back through in Audible and try to figure out what you're talking about. I know you can take notes in there now too, but I'm old school when it comes to that type of stuff.
Cool.
But next question in the core four, I actually lost my
here we go. What has been your biggest mistake that you've made in your investing or just in your journey in general? And how have you learned from it?
Yeah, of course. So for me, I don't really have any regrets. Like you said, adventuring and traveling started everything. And like you said, giving yourself a break and letting yourself relax, really forced me to become who I am. So I don't have many regrets in that sense, but one mistake I have made and still make with business, investing, everything is not reaching out for help more. So in the beginning, you get this lone wolf mentality and you're like, my friends don't understand me. My family doesn't understand. I'm doing this on my own. And it's not really from a malicious standpoint. It's just they're going to see the results and I'm going to make this happen for myself. I'm independent entrepreneur mentality. But as I've gotten into this more, you find out how important community is, with these types of things, podcasts, social media, real estate meetups, messaging people, because there have been so many helping hands that I've gotten along the way. If I had no idea how to do any type of investing or what market to look in, and this investor agent recommended these people for me to call. And, reaching out to people on Instagram, for tips and tricks, and it just completely changes. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this completely wrong this whole time. So if I, would have one critique is just for myself to not try to go at it alone so much and understand that people aren't competing with you. They're really just trying to focus on themselves and better their lives. And there are more times than not, people that are in the position you want to be in are ecstatic to help you if you're seriously pursuing what you want to do. Because it's just been great. Yeah.
I think, I don't know if it's this community specifically or if it's a lot of communities, but the real estate investing, financial independence, personal finance community is like so willing to lend a helping hand and want to help others. My sister's is an influencer, and I kind of talked to her about this, and she's like, well, the influencer community is not like the community that you're in as much. Like they, you know, they're not mean people or anything, but it's just like they're kind of building their own brand, and they view it a little bit more as competition than maybe this community that we've built and that you've built. So anybody listening, reach out to people that you enjoy talking to or interacting with, and you never know where that conversation is going to lead you. So, I don't even know what the mistake was. I guess not doing it earlier. Yeah, I guess that's what you're saying.
Yeah, or just
not networking.
Yeah.
Not networking. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So no, I agree too. I was at that point where like sometimes you're like, there's no one for me to talk to about this. So I'm just going to go at it myself. But then it's hard to motivate yourself on certain days, right? Like that's for Corey and I, it's kind of nice to have the partnership, and you have your fiance, right? Like it's nice to have that person, that sounding board to like go back and forth with, even the days that you're like, this is a tough one. I don't really want to do it. Trying to focus on something else. You always have the little reminder that you're doing it with someone else and like your actions impact them. So it just holds you accountable. It's really nice. And then to couple that back with the community, it's just more fun, man. Like bringing people up together, like watching you succeed, that gets me jacked. That gets like him jacked. And watching other people that we've interviewed, like buy X amount of properties, or people that hit us in the DMs are like, hey, I just bought my first place. Listen to your show. Like, dude, that's amazing. Like, and I think that just goes to, there's a couple things with that is like, we just like surrounding ourselves with good people, right? Like genuine good people that are like you said, everyone's trying to just elevate their own lives and do what they want when they want and enjoy the only one of them, right? You're just trying to enjoy it and make it as best possible. So I just think the community for us has just proved to be so valuable and in more ways than just, we have people to talk to about real estate and investing. It's just like, it's almost like your little community and family. It's really cool. It's weird to talk about it like that, because you just think like people that are commenting or DMing are just like, they're not people. But then when you meet them in person and you interview them, right? Like, it's like, damn, like this guy's grinding too. Like we're just doing it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's fun. And that's my favorite part about all this.
It's awesome.
Yes, sir. Question 3. Want to rock out?
Sure. I got one for you. So if you had someone come up to you with an additional $50,000 in discretionary income, just a check of 50, let's not even call it check, cash. I'm handing it to you right now, 50 G's. How are you spending that, investing it? What are you doing with it?
Yeah, well, that would be amazing. First of all, if anyone wants to do that, I'm down. I would,
sure. You're taking donations. Yeah. Okay. Let's start a fund.
I genuinely think I would put most of it into Airbnbs. Real estate is the tried and true asset class for me. It's the best asset class in the world. And that's just, you can at me if you want, but it's hands down for me. And I'm still in that beginning stage, and I'm still in the cash flow requirement stage. I would want to put, money into something that would make me $2,000 or $3,000 a month net. And that would just propel me so much more forward. It would set me free in so many ways, and I could invest those cash flow savings. A little bit of me would want to put some into crypto. I'm not going to lie.
Wait for it.
Yeah, your money, man. Do whatever you want with it.
That's right. Yeah. 50K, man, that would be huge. I think about it all the time. I'm sure a lot of us do. I'm like, oh dude, what if this crypto like 10Xs and I got 60K or 40K? Like I already know what I'm going to do with it. So like, I think it's a fun exercise to do. It, prepares you for what your reality can be. Like in, a few years, I will have that amount to invest. So it's every outlet leads to real estate for me. I eventually want to get into bigger properties and make it as passive as possible, economies of scale type of thing. But for now, I'm still in the hungry, starving mode, right? I'm still at the very bottom, and I want to get multiple properties, multiple cash flow. That's the name of the game.
Yeah. The question is kind of like fictitious. And then we realized we were asking people, and Indar's last week episode, he's like 50K. He's like, what is that? He's like, I could spend that, like he
goes 50K doesn't mean that much to me.
Yeah, he said, doesn't mean that much. And we're like, damn. So anyway, but
when your net worth's $10 million, dude,
but the point is like
out.
He started where we are and you are. So it's funny because 50K, it's not that it's nothing to us at all, but it's like, we're having conversations now. They're like, where's our next 50K going? Like, it's a real conversation as you start to build wealth and we just had an alignment meeting of our plan for the next 6 months. And where's our money going to go? So it's definitely a valid question. Cool. What do we got? Last one.
Come on, buddy.
4. Okay. This is a little bit of a thinker here.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of gets us to know you even a little bit deeper. What do you want your legacy to be, Austin? Why do you get up out of bed every day? What's the point of doing all of this? Because it takes a lot of mind share and effort.
Of course, for me, I think we all think about it a lot, and mine is in multiple stages. So my first stage of what I want is for myself, my wife, and my family to be free, and to be able to do whatever we wish to do, and to spend time doing what makes us happy together. Not having to worry about bills or money. So my first legacy goal is to let my family and friends experience what I'm experiencing. And then, after that, once I reach that point, I really just hope that I can build a community with my business and make other people feel that way. I understand now why so many successful people do these things. You think, why do they need to have a podcast or a business if they're already killing it? But it's that feeling of helping other people and being known as someone other than oh, he's the real estate guy. It's this guy helped me and he helped me get a house, or he helped me start this business, so I really want to be remembered as someone who shared everything and, never held back tips or tricks or anything that could help someone else. I just hope that I'm the person that they remember, yeah, this person helped me get through this situation or helped me level up in some way.
Awesome. So with that, we reached the last segment of the show. It is called The Last Drop. And this question is, if you go back in time to talk to younger Austin, let's say 20-year-old Austin, what advice would you give him knowing what you know now, if you could go back?
Yeah, of course. If I could go back and talk to my younger self, I would say to him, don't fall asleep. And what I mean by that is, when I got out of high school and I was in college, I had that hustler mentality. And I wasn't doing anything, but I wanted it. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be wealthy. I tried stock trading, which is pretty irrelevant to my whole story, but I lost it immediately, but I wanted it. And I was thinking about it. I was flipping shoes and just small stuff. And, it didn't work out. And then you kind of get distracted, and I was partying and drinking in school, and you get busy. And then, 10 years later, here I am. I'm 28 or 29 tomorrow, but I'm 28.
Happy and,
10 years. Thank you, man. 10 years. Right. And again, I traveled, I was happy. I don't regret it, but I do think sometimes dude, imagine if I was hustling like that for 10 years and still traveling and doing all this fun stuff. So I would really urge myself to not fall asleep and stay awake and be focused on what's happening around me, opportunities that come my way. Every day now my eyes are up, right? Who knows who you might run into? Who knows who you might tell your story to and they can help you in some way, or who knows what opportunity you'll see, so I was just asleep, for a long time. And I was kind of going through the motions of life and working and busy and kind of having fun, but I wasn't thinking about this current Austin at all. I was just I'm going to enjoy myself and figure it out later. And I think that it's important to have a balance of both. Like Corey said, you can have these fun experiences and change your life, but you can also invest when you're early and make contributions to index funds or try to buy a house. And it's just really important to stay focused about what's going on, because like you both said, we only get this once and it goes quick. It goes really quick. And I'm 30 next year as well. And I'm excited about that, but to some, they might be older than they wish they were, or they might be regretting not taking that chance 10 years ago. And I urge young or old people as well, just don't fall asleep. Just stay awake and, take advantage of the time you have, because you never know when it's up.
That's phenomenal advice. And I think everyone listening should take that to heart. Cause I know we certainly will and do. With that, if people enjoyed the show and they want to get to know you a little bit more, connect with you, where can they find you? Feel free to plug any brand stuff, social stuff. We want people to be able to find you in network.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm mostly on Instagram. So it is at Create Wealth Austin is my handle. I'm currently working on a website as well to expedite my coaching services and things that I offer more organized. A lot of my stuff's been through DMs and it's not very organized right now. So I'm trying to create more of a proper business. But for now, Create Wealth Austin, I post stuff every day about, what I'm going through or what I think about different topics and different investing strategies, definitely message me. I mean, again, I'm in the beginning as well. I think that I'm pretty relatable. I'm not someone who's like trying to flex or trying to show off. I'm trying to learn also, and I'd love to help you if you feel stuck. Yeah, just reach out to me if you want to chat.
My man, thank you so much for coming on, Austin. It's been a pleasure, and glad we got to meet face to face here.
I love it, boys. Thank you so much. And I'm sure you're still rocking it. So good luck with everything you're doing, and we'll be in touch for sure.